There's not anything else that sounds like it. If they're driving by, you know, like, oh, there goes one. Behind me, it's a tribute car to a '73 RSR, the original factory racer for that time period. I guess we originally started building it because my sick brother was on me about putting one of these cars together for a really long time. So about 5 years ago now, we were able to procure a motor from New York. It was an original 86 930 motor, turbo. Had 26,000 original documented miles on it. So we got the motor and that kind of started the whole thing rolling. And then a couple years later, I had a good buddy that got really sick with ALS and he passed away. And I bought his '79 SC off of his wife. It was his little track car. So we stripped it down to the bare body and cut it all up and turned it into this. I drive it everywhere. I drive it to run errands or pick up the kids at school, or I take it to work and drive it like a regular car. It's not a trailer queen. It's a very easy car to drive, but tiny inputs are going to produce fairly aggressive results, whether it's brakes or steering or throttle or whatever. It's all right there. It does exactly what you tell it. And it's got that flat six sound. Unless you know what that is, you know, it's hard to explain it, and there's not anything else that sounds like it. If they're driving by, you know, like, oh, there goes one. It's incredibly connected and informative, and there's no fail-safes of any kind. There's no gizmo wizardry of any sort. It's like playing with a chainsaw, sort of. It's a lot of fun, but you better be careful. These old air-cooled cars like this, it's the weight and the way a rear-engined car drives and loads, and it's the sounds that it makes, and it's the complete lack of anything really in between you and what it's doing. You feel it all in every element, and it's one-off. I mean, there isn't another one exactly like it anywhere. So it's definitely a unique feeling and experience to drive, for sure. You got to do it. It's hard to tell someone what that's really like. With something like, you know, these cars, it's important because it's just all about having some fun in an unbridled manner and not having to really think about a whole lot of other stuff except what you're hearing and what's going on and what's around you. Yeah, you have to pay attention to that, but it's just the pure fun part of life, because it gets pretty complicated, and once you get a lot of responsibilities and things going, it gets incredibly complicated, but it's super simple and straightforward, and it's the polar opposite of all that nonsense. And yeah, once you fire that thing, then you know, like, good times. It's a lot of fun to hang out with a group of people who are kind of all looking at and evaluating and involved with the same sorts of things and can appreciate to a reasonable degree what goes into something like that and how much time and energy it takes. And you know, we've been invited to a few shows with this one and the sister car, the Martini, and, you know, showing them together and hanging out and the attention that they draw and the people that you get to meet, and not just Porsche people too. Some of the original guys, like working on the Shelbys, and with Carroll Shelby, we met them at the Galpin show, and you know, people of different walks of life flying in to look at the cars and consider, you know, having one built on their own, and just the spectrum of people that you meet is all over the place, but then there's this one kind of commonality that everybody is focused on in those environments, and everybody just comes together and has a good time sharing knowledge and experiences and checking out all the different elements and customization things people do. And there's so much one-off that it's just amazing how many great ideas so many different people have, and then seeing them all implemented into reality and actually, these rolling pieces of art that they put together and how they do it. It's fun. I mean, it's interesting. It's always different. Great minds, great people. It's just good times. It's not just a bunch of like snobby clowns and country club, golf afternoon boys or whatever. It's people all over the board, and yeah, some of them are super expensive and you have to have the money or whatever to get into them and this and that. But in general, what I've seen, like, that's not what it's all about. That facilitates it, and you have to have it really to be able to do it. But there's a ton of other things you could do too, and they could have done any of them, and that's what they chose to do with it because that's what they really like, and it's important. And I just find in general, no matter where people come from or what they do or how much they got going on or what their reputations are, if you get into that group and that element and just start hanging out and talk, everybody's just kind of an equal and the same, and you're all just enjoying the same stuff. And it's a really nice, it's a nice thing. It's fun. They're just all about fun. They're rolling art. It really is. Every piece, every element has been touched. They were stripped to bare metal. There's not a nut, a bolt, a bracket, a bearing. There's nothing that has not been touched and isn't essentially perfect for what it is, exactly what it should have come from as the factory would have done it if they had all of those elements to utilize in '73, which they didn't, clearly. But this is really just a homologation of, elements throughout all of the air-cooled lineage, the best of everything that you could find to suit that purpose, put together in one like masterfully engineered package from SV Automotive. We call them SV RSRs, and they're just amazing rides.